everybody, it's Miss A, and I'm here with an attributes video to try to help with figuring out how to sort shapes or deal with how to determine how a shape was or how a group was sorted. So I am using my lines of symmetry, but don't worry about that when you're talking about attributes. For right now, we are talking about angles and sides. So the angles, it's either obtuse, acute, or right. And the sides, it's either they have parallel sides, perpendicular, or intersecting. And I use the shorthand for that, so I'll write it out one time, but I'm not going to write it out all the time. So when I go through these, I go through each one of these and write out the attribute for this. So here I'm starting with this shape here. So these are in two groups, Group A and Group B. And I need to determine how did we group A and B together? Why did they put certain shapes together? Now I'm looking, I see this is a triangle, a square, a rectangle. I see this is an octagon, a parallelogram, and a equilateral triangle. So I've got different shapes. They're not the same, they don't have the same number of sides, they're not the same type of shape, so I have to determine what attribute did we use to put these shapes together. So I'm going to start here, and it has 0 obtuse angles, so I'm going to put 0, O. There are 2 acute, because all triangles have 2 acute angles, and there's 1 right. So those are my angles. Now I'm going to go to my sides, parallel. There are no parallel sides. Perpendicular. There is a perpendicular side over here. 1. And I have 2 intersecting sides. And what I know is my right angles match, the number for my right angles match the number for my perpendicular sides. The number for my acute and obtuse combined angles match the number for my intersecting angles, or intersecting sides. So I have 2 here, so I have 2 here. I have 1 here, so I have 1 here. So now I have all these attributes. Let's go here. Obtuse, 0 obtuse. Acute, 0 acute. Right, I have 4 right angles. All right, now I need to go to parallel, perpendicular, and intersecting. So I have 0 and 0 for obtuse and acute, so that's 0 for intersecting. Perpendicular, I have 4, so that's 4. Now I need to look at my opposite sides, so top and bottom. Are they parallel? Will they never, ever, ever touch? So what I do is I extend my leg to see, are they equal distant? And they are. And then when I do it for the sides, they are also equal distant, so I have 2 sets of parallel sides. All right, here's my rectangle. 0 obtuse, 0 acute. I have 4 right angles. So now I go to my sides, parallel, perpendicular, and intersecting. And remember, the numbers with obtuse and acute go with intersecting. The numbers with right go with perpendicular. So there are 4 perpendicular, 0 intersecting, and now I need to figure out if there's pairs of rights or pairs of parallel. So when I look at this side and this side will never ever touch, and this side will never ever touch. So I have 2 sets of parallel sides. So now let me look at all the attributes of these shapes and try to figure out what is the one thing that, or what is something that they have in common. So I'm going to do this here. There are no obtuse angles. Well, no obtuse could be there are no obtuse here and there are no obtuse here. Okay, let me go to next one. 2 acute. No acute, no acute. Well, acute's out. Can't be acute. Right angle, right angle, right angle. Okay. No parallel, parallel, parallel. So we got to get rid of parallel. That's, oops. That's not it. Perpendicular, perpendicular, and perpendicular. So that could also be it. And intersecting it can't be because these have 0 and these have 2. So I have some options, and what we usually go with are things that we have in in things that they have in common. So they have right angles and perpendicular sides. And remember, whatever this grouping is, this grouping should be the opposite of it. So I don't want to say, okay, these are angles and these are sides. So if I go with angles, then it has to be angles here and a different type of angles here. So I'm going to go with right angles in this group. I think this one was sorted by right angles. And now I'm going to go over to these shapes and do the same thing. I'm going to go through my list. So obtuse. There are 8 obtuse angles in this one, and that's all the angles. So there's 0 acute and 0 right. And now parallel, that's parallel, that's parallel, that's parallel, and that's parallel. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of parallel lines. There are no perpendicular because there's no right, and there should be 8 intersecting. All right, let me go to this one. I have 2 obtuse, this angle and this angle are obtuse, and 2 acute, that angle and that angle are acute. No right. And parallel, I have, parallel, I have 2 sets of parallel. And no perpendicular because I have no right. And 4 intersecting. All right, next shape. I have 3 acute angles, no obtuse angles, no right angles, no parallel because it's triangle. Perpendicular, nope, I don't have any because I don't have right angles. So then I have 3 intersecting. All right, so let me look at this and see what I have in common. And since I went with angles, I have to go with angles here. Well, this has obtuse and acute, and this has acute. So what I'm going to call this group is non-right angles. So that's how we grouped these particular shapes. I hope this video helps.